of you came here today to double your sales results? How many of you came here today to triple your sales results? And how many of you came here today to quadruple your sales results? Great. Is there anyone here that's here for a reason other than that? Excellent. Thank you. My name is Amy Samados, AIM Sales Training and Consulting, and that is exactly what we are going to talk about today. Whether you are a top sales performer, an average sales performer, or if you were like me many years ago on sales probation, what I want to share with you today is 5 tips that will take you from where you are to a level that you never even dreamed possible. But before I get into my talk today, I want to take a moment and acknowledge all of you. Let's face it, there are many places that you could have been right now. You could have been on customer appointments. You could have been closing business. You could have been looking for new business. But what all of you did is you did something different. You took an investment in yourself to be here today, and for that I acknowledge you. And I can relate to that because how many of you agree that you've got to take an investment in yourself to get to a new level? Excellent. That's something that I adopted early in my sales career. So thank you again, and I promise as a result of you being here, I will deliver. Since we're going to be spending some time today together, is it okay with everybody if I share a little bit about my background? Okay, great. My journey in the sales world began about 21 years ago. How many of you ever got a call while you're eating dinner from a telemarketer? Yes, I confess, that's where I started. I was a telemarketer selling the Amico multi-card while I was going to college. Now, once I got out of college, I decided that this was a path I wanted to be on, and I got into business-to-business sales. I sold telecommunications, inside sales, and then I decided I wanted to take that big step. How many of you today are in outside sales? Great. How many of you are in inside sales? Excellent. Now, when I first took the step into outside sales, I remember thinking, oh wow, this is going to be great. I get to go on appointments, I get to go to lunch with clients, this is going to be a lot of fun. Wow, did I learn quickly. How many of you first got into sales and remember thinking it might be easy and then you found out quickly it wasn't as easy as you thought it was going to be? Yes, that's exactly what happened. And I still remember the first day of that position because my boss gave me this big book and she said, hey Amy, here's your accounts, start making some phone calls. I quickly realized that the position was 100% cold calling. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Yes. I remember wanting to quit that job the entire first year I was there. And then one day this little voice came into my head and it said, Amy, just stick with it for 1 year and then you can go find a position in selling something else besides payroll that you like better. That was the first lesson that I want to share with all of you is that no matter what you're selling, how many of you agree it's got to be something that you're interested in? Okay. How many of you are selling something you're interested in? Keep your hands up. Okay. How many of you are selling something you're not very interested in? Okay. Just something to be aware of. Now, I eventually decided I wanted to get out of this position and I entered the world of medical sales. And at first, I really loved it. I thought it was a great position to be in because one of my values, something I'm interested in, is health and wellness and helping other people. So I felt the position tied into that. Things were going really great for me. Now, the stakes were very high and the challenges were high, the complexity was high, the income potential was high, but I had no idea how complex that sales process was, and I got pretty good at it, but then something happened. Does everybody know, or has anyone ever been through something called the sales slump? Yes, it happened to me. I was doing great. I was making great money. I was exceeding my numbers. I was even a sales field trainer, and then I remember that morning, I got the email from my boss. I remember reading it and feeling humiliated and angry and frustrated because as I read the letter, it said that if I didn't pick up my sales performance and make my number by the end of the quarter within 90 days, I was going to be terminated from the company. I remember for a moment I wanted to blame my boss and be angry at her for the situation, but again, that little voice of wisdom came back in my head again, and it said to me that maybe this is a wake-up call and maybe I need to take a look at what I'm doing. That is exactly what we are going to talk about today. And I know you're probably wondering right now, what's in it for me? How many of you are thinking that? That's what I want to talk about. I want to tell you the 5 steps I took to get myself from being at 8% of my quota to 137% of my quota within 3 months. And again, this applies to you whether you're already a top performer or if you're like me when I was on sales probation. What are those steps you might be thinking about? Number 1, it's about your activity and accountability. What are you doing in and day out? How are you spending your time? Is it on activities that are increasing your sales opportunities or potentially distracting you from sales opportunities? Number 2, the challenger mindset. The challenger mindset is the latest breakthrough in sales methodology, and it means that you need to share with your customers insights. Help them see the blind spots. What are they missing, and what can you do to help them alleviate the blind spot and get them to where they want to be? Number 3, we're going to talk about influence. In order to sell to somebody, you've got to connect with them and you've got to understand their personality style. We'll focus on that. The 4th thing we're going to focus on is on negotiations and objection handling. As we say, how many of you agree objections are really questions in disguise? Yes, we will talk about that. Last but not least, we're going to talk about presenting. Once you're in front of the customer making that final presentation, what steps are you taking so that you are making an impact with that customer and getting right to the point of trust with them? Or what are you doing to take away from that level of trust and communication?